This is Apple's new Studio Display XDR. It's a 5K 120Hz mini LED panel with 2000 nits in HDR. People say it's one of the best monitors for content creators due to its high contrast. But what about gaming? Is the XDR any good for gaming, and how does it stack up against OLED monitors? Now, I'm actually going to be testing this with my RTX 4090, and getting this thing actually working on Windows is a little bit more complicated than I expected. This is due to the 4090 not having a Thunderbolt, so you can't just use the cable that Apple gives you. Instead, you need a specific bi-directional DisplayPort to USB-C cable to connect the graphics card to the monitor. But once you get that, 5K at 120Hz works perfectly. There is one pretty big catch, which is the HDR. On the latest NVIDIA drivers, Windows just doesn't recognize HDR support on this display. So apparently the workaround is to install older drivers, which is pretty annoying, but I guess that's probably why it's not considered for gaming. Right, so now I've got a game of Warzone, and we're going to put the resolution to 5K. I'm getting around 60, 70 frames per second, which is honestly pretty atrocious because I'm quite used to at least getting 160 frames on this map. Wow, the quality is so nice though. Yeah, the quality is amazing. The thing is, it's just a lot of input lag going on. It does not feel smooth at all. It probably doesn't show it, but you can definitely feel it. Let's see how it looks with 2K. Oh, that runs so much nicer. I think you just rage quit there. Yeah, this feels so much smoother, to be honest. I mean, the frames I'm getting at 150 now. This is definitely playable. And honestly, the image for some reason looks better than my OLED, which shouldn't make sense. And you don't really feel that input lag. God, they're really holding us here. Now we're trying some RuneScape Dragon Wilds. It's kind of a new game that I got recently. Let's have a look around. Wow. This looks incredible. Just gonna see how it feels like. It feels super smooth as well. It doesn't feel like I'm getting like input lag. Which, I guess it's less important on like story-driven games like this, or like co-op games. But like on cards, I could definitely feel the input lag. It just feels so nice. I would probably prefer to play on this monitor than my OLED right now. Just the sharpness is just so much better, it's just so much clearer. I think like 90 to 100 Hz is fine, to be honest. You don't really need much more than that. So here's a side-by-side video of RuneScape Dragon Wilds on my OLED on the right and the Apple XDR display on the left. Both in 2K resolution. Honestly, I'm so surprised. They look pretty much identical. I do feel the XDR is brighter than the OLED that I have on the right. That is definitely one detail I can see. There's also some screen tearing on the XDR, but that's probably because I'm trying to run two panels at once. Honestly, it looks so identical, you really can't tell. Now I've set the settings back to 5K, and I think it's quite clear to tell the image quality is just so much better in 5K than it is in 2K. Even if the 2K is in OLED, the 5K just kind of blows the image quality out of the water. Like, the pixel density is just a lot higher, and you can really feel it. You can really tell. Yeah, that just looks absurd. After playing both Warzone and Dragon Wilds, I think my overall opinion on this monitor is pretty clear. The image quality is exceptional, the contrast is great, the colors look incredibly vibrant, and the sharpness at 5K is honestly next level. I do think it's noticeably nicer than my 1440p OLED. In a slower, more visually focused game like Dragon Wilds, this display makes a lot more sense. You can really appreciate the sharpness, contrast, and overall image quality. But Warzone at 5K was a completely different experience. The frame rate was noticeably lower, and the game felt far less responsive. Once I dropped it down to 1440p though, it felt significantly better. So I don't think the problem is necessarily the monitor's input lag. It's probably more so you're trying to run Warzone at 5K, so it just puts way too much pressure on the RTX 4090. But realistically, you're going to need a RTX 5090, and that also depends which game you're playing and what settings you use. If your main use case is content creation, but you occasionally play story-driven or slower-paced games, then I think this is the right monitor for you. Personally, I think a dual resolution monitor makes more sense. Something that gives you 5K for work and 1440p 330Hz for gaming.